welcome back to Postmortem Radio. I'm your host, Oz, joined again by the blonde in front, Katie. How we doing tonight?
Doing great.
Doing great. All right. And the bald guy in the back, JK. How you doing, man?
I am good. I was about to say he's good because the way you're talking. Bald in the back. Don't want to put a shine on the screen, so it's bald man in the back. But doing well. Yeah, things have been a bit hectic. Since
busy.
Been busy this summer, and it's been a wonderful summer. So happy to be back and actually recording something for you great folks. And I think we're going to have a fun episode ahead.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, life kind of got in the way and some things happened. Both Jay and I both got engaged. So, there's that.
Sorry.
Oh, did you actually get married?
No, we didn't get married.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, you beat me to it. I thought I was going to be, ours is just Sunday. So,
congratulations.
So we got a lot of that stuff going on. Thank you. Jay, you're the only one who doesn't have ghost face looking over your shoulder.
I know. Listen, I thought this was favorite three, not favorite three of Scream or Wes Craven. Otherwise, that would have been different.
Oh no, that's just decorative, and it just happened to notice Katie had her mask laying there too. So I was just kind of thought it was kind of neat.
For the record, favorite Wes Craven film, Music of My Heart, easy.
Nice.
Yeah. Music of My Heart. So
what we're gonna do, we're close to we're a little past the midway point of 2023. So I think we're gonna kind of do what our favorite 3 or so films so far this year are, kind of where are we at so far, and what do we got to look forward to coming up. So each of us have put together a few films that were our favorites so far for this year, and we're going to just talk about those a little bit. We'll go with that. I'm rusty. I am rusty. I am. I got to get back into this. So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys. I did get a few people messaging me about episodes and things like that. So, we never take a hiatus intentionally. It always just tends to be life gets in the way kind of thing. So it's not that we don't appreciate our supporters. We love our viewers and support, and we try to. And plus, it can be a task like that. Everybody getting their schedules together, to coincide to where we can record and things like that. So it's never intentional. We would record something probably every week if we could carve out the time. I know I would.
Possibly.
Well, let's kick it off. 2023 so far. We want to let Katie take a big drink there, and now that her mouth is all refreshed, we want to let her kick it off.
I'm kicking it off.
We're gentlemen, with ladies first.
Ladies first, by all means.
I can kick it off. So one of my favorite films of 2023, which you can find on Hulu, is The Offering, directed by Oliver Park. It is a film that has a subject matter that's kind of becoming more frequent that I love, which is more horror that's based on Jewish mythology and different backgrounds and whatnot. But it's about this family that's going through a loss, and they have a demon that comes into their household. So it's kind of like one of those haunted house movies, but I think that one of the things about this film that I absolutely love is the performances by the actors. I think they're so good. The direction is fantastic. It's one of those things where since it's kind of like different mythology, I don't know a lot of the background on it. So that's nice when I have something that's surprising to me and I get to learn about those different aspects of it. And I just think it's just really well done. I actually watched this at Telluride Horror Show in October of 2022. And then it's done very well on Hulu. Like I know it was one of its most popular horror films like the first 3-4 months of the year. And even watching it again, just rewatching it because I was going through, I'm like, wow, I completely forgot about that. And like, yeah, that's a film that really holds up this year. And yeah, it's become one of my favorites.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right.
It's
So is that like your number one favorite, or are you starting at like number three and counting down to?
I don't know if I have a number one.
Okay.
I would say that's probably number two if I had to count, which is my favorites.
Okay. Because that's kind of how I did my list. I mean, they might not have been the best movies out there, but they were my favorite that I enjoyed the most. So that's kind of how I went with my list. What do you got, Jay?
Well, I'm going to give a little bit of context to my list because, this episode's about three favorite that we have each of us for 2023, the first half of 2023. And at first I was going to do 1 through 3. And then I said, everyone else is going to do 1 through 3. So I decided to be different. And so what I'm doing is for my 3, I'm doing 1 streaming, 1 film festival, 1 mainstream cinema. And the reason why I'm doing that is because all of them, as of now, are going to be released as of the beginning of August, but they were out in the first half of the year. And it's tough to do because, and I envy Katie for this, because this used to be what I used to do before the pandemic, where for 4 or 5 years, I was on the road 20, 25 weekends a year, going to film festivals, seeing everything out there, being ahead of the curve. And life changed a lot during the pandemic. I decided to kind of take a step back, and I really have taken a step back. And I'm so proud to be a part of this show, which is very different than what I was doing before. So I don't really get a chance to go to many film festivals anymore. I'm more of a filmmaker now than I am a critic, which I love as the next stage of my life. So I wanted to do something that was different in the way of the list. So for my number one, I think I'm going to go first with the big screen and work my way down to the small screen. I'm going to go with Megan. I really enjoyed Megan a lot. And, for me, I've never been someone, and actually, let me, because I did this last time and I forgot before I forget again. And I kind of kick myself in the nads here. Let's see.
Painful.
Yeah, well, it is painful when you miss your cue. Before I do that, there we go. Okay. So Megan was a really interesting case because for those who know me, I'm not a fan of the evil doll subgenre. I'm not a fan of Chucky.
I'm not
Leprechaun. Anyone who's under 4 foot, I really don't buy into when it comes to horror. Right. And when I heard about Megan coming out, the idea of the campaign was incredible. They plastered us everywhere with Megan. They went ahead and they made sure that we all understood that Megan was coming, and she was so different in how horror was going to end up being. When the campaign came out for it, they plastered us with it. And one of the things that I've hated over the years is the scariest movie ever, the most terrifying movie ever. When they have certain films, and most of them don't live up to the hype, when magazines back them and say this is the next generation of horror, most of them back it. Megan, in a nutshell, did that for one reason. It wasn't the fact that the doll was creepy as fuck. It wasn't the fact that it was lifelike. It wasn't the fact that the story was somewhat fantastical but yet worked. It was the fact that they took a PG-13 movie and actually made it convincing and something in horror that not only was a gateway for many new fans, but also delivered for a PG-13 rating. Now, I didn't go and watch on Peacock the unrated one because I didn't want to spoil it for myself on what they were able to do. But on the big screen, in a very disappointing horror year, in my opinion, so far, it's been a very disappointing theatrical horror year. And I've seen just about everything, thanks to the AMC A-list, which Susan and I go to almost every single week now. It was somewhat disappointing. Megan was the lone shining star pretty much out of the group that I saw in the first half of the year. The performances are great. The kills are awesome for being a
Mhm.
PG-13. It is,
Yeah.
again, a gateway for young horror fans to be able to get involved. It is what Chucky was for my generation to what it's going to be for their generation. And
Yep.
hopefully they'll like it more. Hopefully they'll like it more than how I felt about Chucky, even though I think the first Child's Play movie is the best out of the bunch. But Megan does is stylized. Gerard Johnstone is a great director. Housebound is a wonderful film. If you haven't seen, I know we talked about it here on Postmortem about it. If you have not seen Housebound, it's almost, God, it's scary to say, almost a decade old now.
Yeah.
But it is a wonderful, wonderful horror house-based. I'll leave it at that because you give too much away, it'll ruin the film. But he does a great job many years later cultivating this doll horror, bringing a modern touch to a really sinister subgenre that needed that spark, no pun intended, with the robot, and it really delivered. So for me, on the big screen, Megan is my first one for wide release.
Well, it's not my number one, but since you kind of stole my thunder a little bit there, Megan was on my list. Megan was my number 2.
Awesome.
So
Megan's my honorable mention.
okay, so that good. She made everybody's list at some point, but
Yes.
yeah, I mean, you kind of hit all the major points that I was gonna, like you said, we talked about, we had an episode. If you haven't,
Check it out.
Yeah.
Check out our episode on Megan. It was so fun to talk about, especially.
Yeah, right.
There she goes. Yeah, there's a little bit of technical
Megan.
difficulties and things that will, going in there, and maybe some little dance moves, but yeah, I mean, I thought Violet McGraw was great, and that I'm looking so forward to meeting her at a convention, sometime this summer. But and then Amy Donald, who was, I think she's going to be at Horror Hound as well.
Yes.
She did a great job as far as she's actually the one who has actually Megan did all the movements and everything. All the performances were great. I think there was just a little, not just a little, it was peppered just a little bit with a little bit of humor, with the boss and him and and chasing her and all that kind of stuff, and her doing the dance and everything, which was super, super creepy. I think we talked about that on the episode as well, but all in all, I mean, I thought it was a very, very enjoyable film. And much like you, I was never, and still am not a Chucky fan. I've not watched the series. I did watch the Child's Play reboot. It was okay, but I mean, I like you, I don't dolls and stuff like that. I just always kind of chuckled when I saw Chucky killing all these, full grown humans. And I just thought it was kind of ridiculous, but yeah, that one's my number 2. So I wasn't going to lead with that, but since we already were talking about it, I thought, well, we'll go ahead and get Megan out of there. So, Katie?
Yeah, no, it's my honorable mention. Allison Williams was great. Jay, as you said, the kills, the practical effects on that are just incredible. It definitely is PG-13, but I think it's just very, very smart that you have this doll. And we talked about this on the show. I know I brought it up that you have this doll that is supposed to help with the parents, but not replace the parents, which is what Megan does in so many ways. That's the true message of the film. You don't want this to replace the parents, and Megan does a great job. And the other thing I love about it is that it definitely has a subtle gateway to sequels, which franchise films, I mean, there's been a lot of them, in the past 40 years that we all love and adore. I mean, all that stuff, but it's also maybe time to put some of them away, considering some of these mass murders and killers are going on like 80 years old, similar to Indiana Jones. Let's put away that mask, hanging up, and let this new generation, as long as it's done as well as Megan, step in and start making new memories for people. And I think this definitely has a chance with this film.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If I may throw something real quick, and this has to, because I didn't realize we were going to talk more about the entries. I just want to go, Katie, back to yours, The Offering, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the great things, and we talk about a revitalization of a subgenre, the idea of religious-based horror is something that I can't get enough of. Now, I haven't seen The Offering because I don't have Hulu, but one of the films I can tailor it to, and Katie, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you haven't seen The Vigil,
Yes.
Vigil is fantastic. And if it's any parallel to what was done with The Offering, it's obviously, Katie, it's a great pull by you, because The Vigil is terrifying. It's so eerie. It's so well done. It's so basic. And it just, all the beats hit right. And if it's anything like The Offering, folks, go check it out.
Yeah, I definitely think it is. And another thing, I mean, The Offering, it just has those solid character actors that when you see who they are, you'll know their faces in 18 jillion different movies. And that's one of the things I love about it, because it's like when I see them, you may not know their name, but you know they're going to have a solid performance. And they did. The only thing regarding The Offering, I feel like they revealed the monster too soon, but I felt like they definitely pulled it back to go with more of the eerie part about it. But yeah, I think it's definitely a solid film. And the director, Oliver Park, if you don't know his name, you will, because he was signed on to do the new Blair Witch Project film.
Oh no.
Yes,
God.
but it's I have a little inside regarding that. Don't think it's going to be, believe me, I have faith in what he has going with it, just from a word of mouth from the actual person. So
I will not say a word then.
Yes. But my second entry in this, I would say this is the third film that I was going to say. It's called Husera, the Bone Woman. It's on Shudder.
I saw that.
Yeah, directed by Michelle Garza Cervera.
Oh, she's so good.
I mean, it is an excellent body horror film. It really is, but also just this concept of this woman who, is having a baby and everything's supposed to be great, but she knows in her heart that it's not. And her mental capacity that's going on with that, postpartum issues, pre-postpartum issues, I just think it's an excellent film. I think the acting is great. The direction is amazing. I think the storyline is very, very cool, but it is definitely the body horror that gets you. Like, there are some things on screen that, just seeing it from my TV, I was very shocked at, and a little disappointed that I didn't have the chance to see it on the big screen, because I think that would have been absolutely incredible. But yeah, that is my number 3 entry, and I highly recommend it.
No, it's great. I love body horror. So body horror is one of my favorite subgenres. And Michelle is really such an up and coming filmmaker. So it's not a surprise to hear it on your list. And Oz, do you want to go next, or you want me to go next?
I can go next.
Why don't you go next? Go ahead, my friend.
Okay. My next one is my number 3 that I ranked as far as my favorites of the year so far. And mine was Knock at the Cabin. I really loved that performance, specifically by Batista. I mean, and Dave Batista, I guess everybody's so used to seeing him as Drax and the big oaf and the goofy, one-liners, and he's funny and all that kind of, but this was a completely different than anything we've ever seen him do. And it showed that, he's got more than just, an action, like The Rock or whatever. He's got some depth. He's got some acting chops, believe it or not, that I did not expect to see. makes me, and I think we obviously had an episode about that as well. So check it out if you haven't heard that one. But that one was really, really, it was very cerebral. It really made you think. And it makes me eager to see future work by him, to see how far his range as an actor can really go. Aside from, I mean, he's been in tons of, like I said, action movies and stuff like that. We know he can do that, but as far as, this was more of a mental stretch than I really anticipated, and was really, really impressed by it, and hope to see some more.
If I can jump in, I love how Batista is so gentle in this movie.
Yes, and that's not what you expect.
Exactly.
Being such a big brooding guy.
Yeah, I mean, going back to his days in the WWE, I mean, he didn't have this kind of range, and he's come so far in what he's able to do. In fact, on the plane coming home, I was watching Blade Runner 2049, and he's the opening. He's so big, and he puts on those little spectacles, and he turns around, and he doesn't look like he's going to explode, and then he explodes on Ryan Gosling, and it's scary. And in this movie, he really doesn't explode. He's allowed to be an actor, and he's allowed to do something, and he looks so bloated in that shirt. He looks so big than what he, and it's really great costuming and wardrobe that they really make him look like that, like he's almost ready to explode from all the that's been put on him or in him. So it's really great symbolic visual filmmaking that happens. But that's a great pull. M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dang does a tremendous job. And whether you love his films or you hate his films, you always find things that stick with you. And that's what makes him such a great filmmaker.
Yeah, the fun about the costume with him is I always thought he looked like an elementary school teacher.
Right.
But he looked like he was hulking out, like he was like just gonna bust out of that shirt. So yeah. So all right, Jay, what do you got next?
Well, let's see. I gotta bring up my picture before I actually start talking.
We gotta have our visuals. Our
visual
aids.
So I will start by saying this is the film festival entry. It will be out the end of August. So in like a month's time, it'll be out. But it's one that I saw at Horror Hound, and I was lucky enough to actually cover it for the magazine, and it's Brightwood. For those who have not seen Brightwood is the little film that could. Shot in New Jersey, actually not too far from where I am right now. It is basically shot, produced, edited. I'm going to tell you, probably every hat is worn by Dane Elkar. He is the filmmaker who put this out, and I believe it's his debut feature. It's picked up for distribution August 22nd, I believe. But the story revolves around something that we can all understand, and that's a relationship that's gone toxic. And basically, when it comes to this relationship between these two characters, and I actually do have my phone in front of me, so make sure I don't mispronounce on this one. You have Jen, which is Dana Berger, and you have Dan, which is Max Wharton Dyke. And both of them actually, I believe, are producers on it as well as lead cast. And it's basically two characters through the entire piece. It's sci-fi, it's thriller, it's horror. And basically the premise is that this couple who's falling apart goes out for a jog. He tries to reconcile with her, and they end up falling into a loop around the lake. And basically they have to figure out how to get out of the loop. But why they do that, they come together as a couple, and their relationship evolves in some good ways and some really dark ways. So it's full of misdirection. It's a wonderful, very simplistic film, some really good effects. The director, Dane, is a wonderfully talented filmmaker who has gone out of his way to create a film with what he had during COVID. So it'll be out the end of August. I highly recommend. I saw it Horror Hound in the spring, which I was so thankful to because it was one of my favorites from the spring edition of the film festival. And talking with him for the magazine, I think it's issue 98. It's going to be coming out in the interview with him. I think it is. But the film gives you a lot of different stuff to chew on. and it connects you as a viewer. And especially if you've been through a bad situation or relationship, I know I have on multiple cases.
Oh yeah.
You will connect to these characters in one way or another. And basically, there's kind of not an exposition on why it's happening to them. I'll leave it at that. So it gives kind of a mystery as well to it. But it is a wonderful, simple film. And as a filmmaker, it really shows you that if you put in the work and you have the idea and you have it, the picture in front of you, it can be done. So hats off to Brightwood as my film festival one for the first half of 2023. Highly recommend it.
All right. Well, definitely have to check that one out.
I definitely going to check that one out because I like, so it's August 2020, Brightwood. Okay.
August 22nd, as far as I know.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right. I think we're back to Katie.
All right. So my third and final, and this is my number one due to the surprise of the lead performance. It's called From Black, directed by Thomas Marchese, Marchese, Marchese. It's on Shudder, and it's about a mother who 5 years ago, her son was lost, and she's like she's been given the offer to find out what happened to him, and she takes it. And the mother is played by Anna Camp. You may know her from Pitch Perfect movies, from True Blood, and this is a very dark turn for her because she's playing this character that, you know, from what I just said, it's like you automatically kind of feel for her. But the fact is, the reason why her child disappeared is because of her. Like, she was a drug addict. He, like, just while she was high, he opened the door. I think he's 5. He opened the door and went out of the trailer, and then something happened to him. It is a dark film. It is it's just a really, really solid performance by Anna Camp. And I feel like she's been like, this is the first thing that I've seen her do somewhat like this. And looking at the roster of films she's doing, I feel like this was kind of like the gateway into that. She dyed her hair dark. She's going into darker, material on her resume. And I'm all here for it because this is like a protagonist, antagonist kind of thing, anti-hero. It is really creepy and really sad at times. And she does an amazing job portraying that. I think the film in whole does a really good job. It kind of deals with the supernatural and, really just how do you forgive someone that's done the unthinkable, that then because of that, the unthinkable happens to your child. And yeah, that was it's my number one because it was really a surprise. Like, watching it on Shudder, I didn't expect much, and I just really got hooked into it, mainly because of her performance, because it was a big surprise to me. So yeah, that's my number one. It's not my absolute favorite film, but again, I was trying to do more like obscure sort of streaming. I have some films that were on the festival circuit, but they're going to be out in August, so we'll do another show with those. But yeah,
we'll do a end of year round, since we're doing kind of a halfway point. We'll do an end of year for sure.
Yeah, but From Black was a big surprise to me, so that was my number one.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you're wondering, I'm making a list of the ones that you're saying that I haven't seen yet. So I'm like, I got to write this because if I don't, I'll forget. So I'm right. I got The Bone Woman and From Black and Brightwood. So I've got to watch.
Katie, can I ask you a question about From Black? Because I haven't seen From Black. Is there any connection to like The Vanishing, where it's that someone takes her and makes her relive what's going on with it, or is it just more flashbacks? How is that story told?
It's more flashbacks. Like, you get to see, like, she has no idea what happens to her child because at the time that he disappears, she's on this high. So to get to this point, she has to like make a sacrifice, do different things, and then they show her what happens. and
Wow.
she has to feel that remorse and feel that guilt, and then also do whatever she has then to rectify it. Now, that doesn't mean you get to go back in time and, you know, the child's already back in the trailer or whatever, but there is a resolution, but it's both happy and sad. But, you know, it's a film that I think is done very, very well regarding the subject matter. I mean, you've got the police involvement and stuff, and I think that's good because it's like, you know, this is, again, a character that they shouldn't get a second chance, but yet you want them to get a second chance.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily because of her character, but more for the child.
Right.
And yeah, it gets into a real like skeezy, I'm not going to give it away, but it really gets into, you don't get to see everything, which is one of those things that I always love, like less is more, let our brain get to that dark place, because
Yeah.
I think it does that very well.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Nice. Yeah.
Look forward to
Definitely
seeing it.
have to check that out.
Nice.
All right. Well, we back to me or to Jay?
I'll go in this one. We'll rotate.
Okay.
My question though before that is, we have one more round, correct?
Mhm.
So okay, so I'll
Yeah.
save my you know what? I'll do my honorable mention on this one for it. So this is going to sound kind of cheesy, probably unexpected, but you're talking about standout performances, and without Russell Crowe, The Pope's Exorcist would not be as much fun as it was. Russell Crowe takes a movie and he is, we all know what kind of an actor he is. We've heard the stories of what kind of a person he has been over his life. He is a shining star in The Pope's Exorcist. And The Pope's Exorcist is actually not a bad exorcism film. It really is not a bad one. But he elevates it so much so it's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy what he's able to do. I'm just kidding. That's not my honorable mention. Anyway.
I've still yet to see it. I want to see it.
I know, me too.
I've heard he was
No.
I've
That's not
heard
my
he was
honorable
good
mention.
in it. I've heard it was really, he was really good in it. But
He is really good in it. He is really good in it. No, my honorable mention actually, and I wanted to pull from another entry that I saw that's going to be getting released shortly, and that's real quick, Beaten to Death. Beaten to Death. If you have not heard of Beaten to Death,
Oh,
there was a film a few years ago called Ravage, and it was about this woman who, her and her partner go out or no, she's by herself. She's taking pictures, and she gets abducted by these hillbillies, and she's on the run. Take that concept, throw it in the Australian outback, where anything goes, and all hell is going to break loose. One of the most brutal films I've seen in a long time. It is absolutely wonderful. The actor who did the practical effects, who put on all this makeup, took this beating. God bless him. So my honorable mention is going to be Beaten to Death, which is grindsploitation in its most beautiful form. It's one that everyone should see when it comes out, if you can stomach it. So that's my honorable mention.
Look, I'm digging myself kangaroo horror. So once you said it's Australian outback, yeah, I feel like Australia is starting to turn into my definition of French horror, where it's like nobody wins. So this does not surprise me at all.
Nope.
But I am definitely putting that on my list because
And actually, it kind of connects Katie to From Black, because you have a couple who is doing something bad and they get what they have coming to them. But as the movie goes on, all of a sudden, you don't wish this on anyone, even someone who's done something like that. You necessarily, you want to hope that he's going to be okay, and he's not going to be okay. So there you go.
It kind of, the way you described it kind of reminded me of Revenge. Did you see Revenge on Shudder?
Oh, I hate Revenge.
That was kind of.
Let's pour like 50 more gallons of blood on the floor.
Yeah.
Let's have ice skate around.
Yeah.
I got into so many arguments with people about that film because because it is very much a feminist film.
Yep.
I have no issue with the young lady coming back and being reborn like the Phoenix, but how much disbelief do I have to suspend with this? It is a brutal film. It is a revenge film. Yes, but I'm sorry, I'm not on board.
So you're saying this one's better than that, is what you're saying?
Oh, this is fucking brutal, man.
Okay.
Excuse my expression here. It is fucking
Okay.
brutal. It's
I
not
mean,
like revenge. No.
Okay, I was able to get through Revenge, but it was not what I would say a stellar film.
Okay. Katie, go ahead. Go ahead, Katie.
No, I mean, look, I like the concept of revenge, but I mean, from a medical standpoint,
Right.
there's so many things like that's not how that works.
That's
like
not how you
Exactly.
cauterize a
when you
wound.
cauterize a wound, that it doesn't go all the way through.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if you cauterize it in here, you then have to do the same thing on the back. It
Oh
doesn't
God.
magically go through that. And I
Right.
also love the fact that her blonde hair turns brown from the smoke and the thing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, there's also positive things about it.
Of course.
But yeah, no, and the amount of blood, it's like, and how many pints of blood are in the human body? You would have been dead just from blood loss. But
Mhm.
I get the point of that. And I get the point of the film and all that stuff, but yeah, medically speaking, yes, you definitely have to have that, that
Suspension.
practical, suspended belief to
Yeah.
really go along with it.
Wow. All right.
All right, who's up?
Oz.
You're up, Oz.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go first with actually no, I'm gonna do my horrible mention. What am I?
Honorable, horrible mention. I
Honorable,
like
yeah.
that.
Honorable horror.
My horror
Horrible
mention. That's
mention.
it.
Horrible mention. I like that.
Yeah, and this is not by any stretch of the imagination the best film that I've seen this year, horror or otherwise, but I go back to something I said when we talked about this film. It's the best time I've had in a theater this year. And believe it or not, it's Cocaine Bear.
Ah,
I mean, I had such a good time. I mean, and it's crazy, it's slapstick, it's comedy, but
exactly.
it was just fun. And I mean, I saw it twice in the theater because the first time I went to see it, Brandon wanted to see it, so we went back a second time. And the second time, I think I said it in the episode, I mean, I had such a good time just watching part of it, these older ladies just cackling and just having such a good time watching this movie. And I mean, they thanked me because I was like, oh, don't get up yet, there's more after there's a credit, man. And it was, and so I mean, I had to say, plus Ray Liotta was pretty good. What's her name? I think you mentioned her. What's her name? Katie, you had talked a lot about her. She played the park ranger. Her
Margot Martindale.
Yes. She was
she's one of
so
my favorite
good.
lines in a film this year.
So good. Which is, I'll let you.
Oh, well, I guess it's her reaction to it. It's like, oh, your beaver's dusty. She's like, yeah, I'm working on that.
Yeah. I mean, I thought all the comedic timing was just right on point. So I mean, you got bad people doing bad things, and they get what they deserve. I mean, and again, kind of what you said, Katie, medically speaking, there's no way this, I mean, in real, they say it's based on a true story. Yeah, the true story is the bear ate the cocaine and died.
In like 30 minutes.
Yeah, so, which is funny though, but at Scarefest in October, they've got the actual bear and it's taxidermied and it's going to be at the convention it's Scarefest. Yeah.
What?
It's stuffed. And they've got Cocaine Bear listed on if you go to the website, listed on the guests. Cocaine Bear is right there. You can go and you can get your picture taken with Cocaine Bear. It's hysterical.
Oh my God.
I'm
so
done.
I got to do it.
Done.
I got to do it. I'm going to do it. I have to do it. That's
So
an hour drive from me.
You know what? I'm going to throw a little story into this story time based on what you just said, Oz, because if they actually have Cocaine Bear being a guest, there was a convention in New Jersey. I can't remember the name for the life of me. It feels like a lifetime ago. but it only lasted a couple of years in Atlantic City, and it's not the Jersey Horror Con. That's the one now. And one year, we were in Caesars, I believe. And guess who they had as a guest leaving tire prints for the fans coming in? No, that would be too simple. Come on. The tire from Rubber.
Oh my God. I would totally pay for a picture of the tire from Rubber.
It was epic. And I still have the poster with some of the trademark on it upstairs. I have it with the rest of the posters. And I'll tell you what, if someone can get a tire and say it's the tire from Rubber and get people to actually get a really cool poster too. It's a really cool poster. It looks like something like a Mondo print. And they can do that. Anything's possible. So I suggest Scarefest, right? That's what you said, Oz?
Scarefest, yes.
You need to get the sharks from Sharknado. You need to get the bear from Cocaine Bear. You need to get the Meg, all right? You need to get all that, and you need to get Winnie the Pooh now from Blood and Honey to all come out.
That was going to be when I asked if we were going to do our worst of it. That was going to be mine.
Oh, Lord, I don't even want to get into my worst for this year. Anyway.
Yeah, that's going to be too long. We're going to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good
So that was my honorable mention. Good old Cocaine Bear. And
good job.
When I get to Scarefest, I will post the pictures of me with Cocaine Bear at Scarefest. And believe it or not, it's not a laugher as far as the convention. Scarefest has been around for a while. They're one of the shows. And believe it or not, they have an amazing guest list put together for this show. I mean,
that's awesome.
Some rare guests that I'm gonna have to pull my Camp Crystal Lake sign down because a couple of final girls that you don't ever see. Jensen Daggett from Jason Takes Manhattan is going to be there.
Wow!
It's going to because only Jason's and Survivors signed that sign. Everybody else gets to sign posters. But
nice.
But yeah, they got some great guests that are going to be down there. So check it out. All right. I think we're rounding third, heading home. So who's got what do we got left?
I already said my honorable mention, which was also Megan. But I mean, like, look, I've got Sick that started off the year on Peacock. I thought that was a really well done film, maybe too soon regarding people not taking the COVID experience seriously, but I think it was really well done and had a point. It's like, because this is a film that you didn't know who the carriers were, and you don't know like how much people were affected by this. And I mean, I lost family members because they kind of felt that, they thought it was a hoax and stuff like that. I know when I got COVID in 2022, I mean, it freaking knocked me on my ass. And I was not expecting that after the vaccine, all this stuff. But I thought Sick was really in to do it then in a horror way and everything. And someone in a car, do you have a mask? I don't want to let you in. Do you have a mask? I'll open the door once you put a mask on. She's like, open the door, bitch. What are you doing? And it's it's also funny, but I thought that was a great topical film. Very, very in the 20s, 2023. Mm-hmm. I liked Viking Wolf. I mean, I don't think there are enough werewolf films. I thought this was great with the Nordic aspect and that whole mythology. I thought the CGI was, honestly, I thought the CGI was solid. And for a film, it's on Netflix. I thought that was great. And then I personally liked Infinity Pool. I think the concept of that, I mean, is it a new thing with the rich getting everything they want and somewhat having stuff thrown in their face and meeting their demise? Yeah, but also at the same time, I mean, I think Brandon Cronenberg is fantastic. I love his mind and his direction. I also thought it was freaking hot. I have not seen a sex scene like that in a film, let alone in a theater, with some friends of mine that were like, look, I know you guys, we're friends. I'm going to have to, excuse myself for a minute. But that was something that I was not expecting. And I think it, again, Mia Goth, mwah, I think you're amazing. And going from everything she did in 2022 to start the year with Infinity Pool, I think is amazing. And I look forward to seeing her in Maxine. So yeah, those are my, I mean, Megan was my roundabout, but those are the ones that I was like, okay, actually, I do have more films than I thought that I did on this. It's like, all right.
Solid
Sounds
list.
good.
Solid list.
Sounds good.
What
All
you got?
right.
What you got, Jay?
Well, let's switch the visual. So for me, this came out right at the beginning on streaming and on DVD. And it's one that I absolutely came to love and follow. It is The History of Metal and Horror. It is a fantastic documentary. And, you know, there's plenty of documentaries about music, plenty. I just did one about music myself. It's going to be playing in the fall. It's not easy to do. And it's not easy to get people to be able to talk. And what Mike Schiff does primarily on his own over years was remarkable. Now, again, this is available streaming. You can get this on DVD. The whole premise of it is the partnership between metal and horror over the years, but more metal than horror. And the thing that makes this great isn't the fact that it's just documentary. It's part film, part documentary. So Mike took the idea and said, anyone can make a documentary. Let's make a film that is kind of the membrane that holds all this in together. It has Michael Berryman in as the Phantom, I guess you can call him that, or the program. And he basically works, you know, with the other character as they're going through in this post-apocalyptic era of the history of metal and the history of horror and then how they combine. But you are looking at so many metal bands, independent to mainstream. He's at so many conventions, including Horror Hound. He goes ahead and talks with so many different horror figures. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful collaboration that comes off incredible. It is a beautifully disturbing history that both of these subjects have. And Mike Schiff does a tremendous job creating not only a narrative, but a very engaging documentary. Even if you're not a fan of metal and horror, it's still really interesting because it's historical, it's cultural, it's entertainment based on many different fronts. And it's just a blast to be able to watch. And I saw it at several different places. I interviewed him for Horror Hound also. And he's a wonderful guy who's worked so hard in film, independent and more mainstream. And I'll throw this out there, he's a wonderful family, and God bless them for the support that they give him on this because it's well deserved. So The History of Metal and Horror is my streaming pick for the first half of 2023.
That was one of the entries in Horror Hound Fall 2022, wasn't it? Because I think I wanted Michael Berryman to be nominated for Best Supporting Actor because I thought he was fantastic.
So. Yeah, he was fantastic. And again, now that you know we're back on camera here, the interviews that you'll see, the surprise you'll have, but where he's so resourceful, Mike, in what he's able to do, getting them on tour buses, behind the scenes, you know, and there's some great stories with it. I think there's a whole bunch of extras that are attached to DVD. So definitely worth checking out. And it's a good one. So
nice. All right. Outstanding.
All right, Oz.
Okay, I guess leaves me to wrap things up. This one, I gotta give Jay credit on this one. The one that I think is probably one of the best film maybe that I've seen so far. And that's one that he just recommended. I hadn't heard anything, I hadn't seen anything marketed, but I just went and saw it the other day. And I know Katie, you didn't get a chance to see it, but it's called Cobweb. That was such a good movie. Now, the one thing I will say about it is I figured it out very early on. And not that I'm, any, film brilliant expert or anything, but I don't know. I thought it was pretty easy to figure out. And I was actually leaning over to Janelle and I was like, this is what it is going to be. And as I'm telling her, I immediately had a thought, well, it has to be something else. So actually what is going to happen is it's going to end up being this. And it was exactly what it was. But it did. The strange thing was usually that takes away from my experience, but it didn't. I still, it was still very, very enjoyable. And the performances were really great. And, I don't want to go into it too much because, Katie hasn't seen it, but, definitely it's I'd say worth checking out if you can that's the problem is finding a theater where it's showing because it's very limited release. So, that was mine so far. I think that was the best that I've seen so far.
Well, I will make sure to include that on the second half of the list for me. When it comes to that, I will make sure and do that. But I you know what? Cobweb's a great film, so I look forward to us talking about it coming up.
Yeah, I'd like to do, whenever we can do, I would like to discuss it further because they're as good a film as it is. It does have its issues and it's my head scratching moments where I'm like, how in the what did this so yeah, it's definitely one that I would like to put on schedule for a future episode, whether we did just its own episode or we talk about a couple of films or something. But I definitely think it's definitely worth discussing in depth.
Oh,
Sounds
definitely.
good.
I mean, like I wanted to see it. I'm disappointed that the greater Chicago area, like all of the multiple showings of it are like an hour outside of Chicago. And the one theater that had it at 10:30, which sorry guys, like I mean, and we discussed it, like taking an Uber there, taking an Uber back, spending that's like $70 plus downtown Chicago at night. I love my city, I really do, but I don't have to be downtown on a weekend at night. I would rather not. But but I wanted to see it. And I'm really disappointed because I love Lizzie Kaplan.
She's great.
Yeah, I love the male actor from The Boys. I forget his name. I hate that I can't remember his name right now. But he's always
Was it Aaron Starr or something like that?
Yeah, something Starr. Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it. And as soon as I'm able to stream it, I definitely will. Because again, $70 compared to like maybe $14.99, I can live with that.
Well, I will throw out real quick since we're talking about it. I want to thank Sam for Katrina One PR because I had a chance to see it, a screener of it, and that's why I was able to tell Oz about it. And I found out it was hitting theaters on July 21st, or hit theaters on July 21st. But it's going to be a film that's going to have a lot of opinions. In fact, Oz and I, off camera, he made a comparison to something I really didn't see when it came to it. So it'll be a very interesting talking point when it comes up, but it's a really good film. So thank you, Sam, for passing it by my my desk for review and Horror Hound, actually. So it worked out well.
And
nice.
I didn't recognize Anthony Starr from The Boys. I've watched the first couple episodes of The Boys. I recognize it because he was in The Covenant with Jake Gyllenhaal. He was in that film.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. And at first I was thinking, I was like, he looks like he looked like somebody else. I can't remember who it was. But it ended up not being who I thought it was. But I think the beard is why I didn't associate him with The Boys, because in The Boys he's clean shit.
Yes.
In this one he's got a beard and everything. And that's what kind of threw me. But he was kind of scruffy also in The Covenant. So that's why I was able to make that connection. And one of the things I didn't realize until I was watching the credits, because a lot of times we just kind of sit there, if we're not in a hurry to get out of the theater. And I saw the name Luke Busey come up, and I was like, Busey is a pretty unique name, especially in Hollywood. I almost wonder. I was like, I wonder if that was any relation to Jake or Gary. And yeah, one of the kids in the movie is Jake Busey's son, Gary Busey's grandson.
Wow.
So he's the kid that had the crutches in the movie.
Oh, okay.
So, but
Nice, dude.
yeah, so he the acting bug is active in that family for sure. So,
That's cool. Third generation Busey. That's
Yeah.
nice to know.
yeah.
No, I'm looking forward to seeing it and talking with you guys about it.
All right. Well, that was fun. We'll have to do more kind of obscure things like that, where we're kind of giving our favorites and things like that. Because I really like this because now I got a list of movies that, like, when I'm like just sitting there watching the same movies that over and over again, and I can't think of anything, or if I'm scrolling something through it on streaming, and I'm like, oh, no. But now if I come across it, I'm gonna say, oh, I know that's supposed to be good. I need to watch that, because I'm always afraid I'm gonna get invested into something and it's gonna suck, and I'm gonna want to turn it off and not finish it. And I hate not finishing movies, but yeah, I got a good little list here to watch, and I actually look forward to us doing this again, and so I can come back after seeing these and like, you know what, you were right about this, you were wrong about that, or something that we didn't talk about was this. And so I mean that's what I love about us collaborating, because it's cool for me because you guys see so many more movies than I do, and so when I hear you guys say something's pretty good, I think you guys are pretty solid on what is good and what's a turd. So I feel better about investing some time into something you guys say is worth watching. Let's put it
Well,
that way.
and I will say that I know we're doing the first half of 2023.
Mhm.
Something I'm excited to talk to you guys about is the second half of 2023, because while I was very negative about like, this is going to be a hard list for me to do, it's like I'm going to be scraping up 3, but I actually picked up more than I thought I did.
It has been a little thin,
yeah, the ones that haven't come out yet are some of my favorite films, like, period, of the year, that are coming out like July and August. So very excited to talk about those in the future with you guys too. Like some that I've seen at festivals, some that I've had pre-screenings of that I'm really, really looking forward to. And this is one of those things that it's like, all right, July, thank you for actually coming through with some films, because I've just thought 2023, as far as the theater going experience and stuff like that, has been really weak.
yeah.
I think television and episodic series, episodic television has been way stronger this year, like some of the strongest I've ever seen for television. But yeah, film has kind of been not that strong, but this month has proven me wrong. So I'm looking forward to talking to you guys about at least the horror aspects of it in the next coming weeks and months.
Sounds good. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think too horror tends to pick up towards the fall with Halloween and all that kind of, so people are more into let's watch some spooky movies. So I think it tends to pick up a little bit then too. So have you decided yet if you're going to make it to Indianapolis?
If right now I think I'm possibly going to take the train, and yeah, I think I'm going to go.
Okay. Well, cool. Then what we'll do is we'll try to, at some point or another, get into a room to make some, set some stuff. I'll take my laptop and my stuff, and we'll record an episode, covering what we've seen, or what we've seen since then, and what's going on at the show, and we'll do kind of a report from the out on location or something, something to that effect. Postmortem live on or maybe we do some Facebook. We could do that too. We could do some Facebook live check-ins. Check in, postmortem live at Horror Hound. So that'll be should be a good time. There's an excellent guest list. I mean, Nathan keeps announcing guests, and every time I'm like, oh, I got to see that. I mean, so many first timers that have not been there that I'm looking forward to seeing. So that will be a good time for sure. So, all right, well, that's it for us. We will see you in the next one. And in the meantime, stay scared and take care of each other. All right. All right. See you guys.